Yes, Robert Pierce. I'm aware, right in the middle of a basketball game against Southern Illinois. I know the timing could have definitely been better, but nonetheless, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna fire away here at the end, but obviously talk a little bit about the Texas Bowl because it does provide a lot of good things for Oklahoma State. And what about the transfers or lack thereof?
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State. We're going to do the live edition here, primarily because obviously we didn't get to hammer away on some stuff on Saturday. Now, if you get caught up in a basketball game and it takes your eyes away, that's okay. I completely get it. But nonetheless, let's have some fun and jump in here. And before we kind of dive into throughout the course of the week, what schematically we could potentially do with A&M and what they seem to provide in the way of a test, because they are a test. They are a pretty decent ball club, but we can probably stress the biggest importance, and that is what we're able to do attendance wise at the Big 12 title game. We covered it a little bit earlier in the show as well, but the experience in and of itself was pretty cool. The game, obviously, not all that great. But we proved to Brett Yormark in the Big 12 that Oklahoma State is one of those teams in the Big 12 that is not only ready, but we're definitely prepared to travel. We'll be able to do this moving forward because now we have set the precedence that this is exactly where Oklahoma State should be all the time. Is Utah going to be good? Yes. Is BYU likely to get better? Yes. Is UCF going to get good? Right? There's a lot of teams in this conference, including Arizona, and then obviously Kansas State. Iowa State's always a problem. But what the Texas Bowl does, predicated upon what you saw in attendance for the Big 12 title game, was more of an emergence from the state of Texas. Now, we have the best alumni base in the state of Texas, and let's face it, Texas A&M does offer a little bit of a fun look for recruits and commits and potential recruits, because it is a brand that is known for the dollar bills. Right now, they're also known for spending $76 million to have somebody go sit on their couch and play golf. This is not a major obstacle for Oklahoma State because we're never going to pay anybody $76 million to go sit on a couch. So with all the money that A&M has, and then being in the vaunted SEC, again, we have to talk about the fact that the SEC is 7-9 this year against other Power 5 schools. Not exactly the pinnacle of excellence. This is an opportunity for us to kind of hammer that home. Whatever your 5th, 6th, 7th place team is in the SEC, it is not the same as the second best team in the Big 12 for this season. With the attendance, we showed everybody what we are willing to do as a fan base. And with now some of the news of the guys that are in fact coming back, it is proof that our NIL collective is doing pretty good. Now, for some of those people that are like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that we're not hearing a whole lot about Oklahoma State transfers, let's just say that, I mean, obviously it's a good thing, right? You don't want to deal with the mass exodus type of situation, of course. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we're excelling in communication, because that was the issue last year. And from what I'm gathering, communication this year is not an issue whatsoever. This is communication all the way across the board. Mike Gundy, Casey Dunn, NIL, all of it, it's tying in together, and it's allowing these conversations to equal sustainability. Nobody's in any desire to panic at the moment, simply because the NIL packages that we're putting together are sufficient. So everybody does want to wait around and kind of see what we're going to be able to do. Again, this isn't all predicated upon monetary values because Joe Mahalski's coming back. We've got more offensive linemen. We'll save some of that. But we've got other dudes that are 100% coming back. And they should all kind of start matriculating out as the week progresses. But it's not just about NIL. It just needs to be stated that this bowl game is yet another opportunity to put on a very good performance against somebody that has all of the SEC money, the glitz and the glamour without all the glory. There's a lot of players on that Texas A&M roster or recruits that are looking to potentially jump on this Texas A&M roster that live in that area that even if they haven't exactly put Oklahoma State in their top 5, top 8, top 10, top whatever, if we go down to Houston and we pack it with a bunch of orange like we did last time we were in Houston and like we just did at the Big 12 title game in Arlington, Texas, guys, I was impressed. I was impressed with the crowd. Like I knew it was going to be a big crowd because it was Texas, right? And they've been waiting on this for a long time. But usually whenever you watch these style of games on TV, Red River kind of is one of them, you kind of see that dead even split for the most part. And so the aerial views show the differentiation of the colors. And when you looked around, we did exactly that. And the record in attendance obviously indicates the same. Y-Zone. All right. I appreciate it. I like it. So we'll just roll right into segment 2 here real quick, which is the transfer destination stuff. As you've all probably already heard or seen via social media, our center, who graded out phenomenally this year, he's coming back. We've got another offensive lineman with some, let's say, some more Okie style flavor that'll definitely be coming back. We anticipate at least one more, maybe, likely, 2 more offensive linemen, just O-linemen, coming back. So the package that NIL Collective has been able to put together, we all know, probably common sense would dictate it's going to be considerably bigger than Spencer Sanders. Spencer Sanders, if we want to rewind a little bit, thanks to guys like our buddy, Keaton Hargett, a.k.a. OK State Probs, $463,000 for Spencer Sanders, if I recall correctly. You know, all he's going to get more because he's worth every penny. And what he's going to be able to bring in return with the Heisman campaign, it's going to pay for itself. So regardless, that's what we got to think about here. Spencer Sanders almost got $500,000. And let's face it, no matter why the circumstances went the way that they did and the reason he left, none of that really matters wherever you take into consideration. He was going to get, a pretty healthy sum at Ole Miss, but he had to start. He had to play. That didn't happen. So if he's worth $460K and Ollie's going to be a legitimate Heisman guy, yeah, he's going to be worth more. But Ollie, this is the beauty of it, guaranteed, Ollie Gordon is petitioning on behalf of his offensive linemen because Ollie Gordon has a very unique relationship with his O-line. Every running back in the history of man thanks his offensive line after the games. But it's few and far between that you have a group that legitimately has the daily interest of the running back. So Ollie knows more about these dudes than most of your running backs who always claim they love their O-linemen do. It is a different relationship. And again, the pause in any of the decisions that are being, put forth when it comes to the transfer market are because of guys like Ollie who are like, you know what, I'm going to get mine. I deserve whatever I get. I'm fine with that. I also know that I'm NFL bound and NFL caliber. I'm okay with that. But if I'm coming back, then I got to have my War Pigs 2.0 guys with me. So that is partially, possibly, why you're not hearing a whole lot. But again, this to me circles back to communication. That was our biggest issue last season at this exact time. We're not having that issue. Communication is fantastic all the way across the board. The direction for next season, it's already being laid out. Players are already being able to understand what the idea is going to be moving forward and what they feel like they need to capitalize on. And they got an extra four days for this break because we practiced harder than Mike Gundy's entire tenure as a coach physically. So he gave him an extra long break, but they deserved it. Yeah, we got beat up a little bit in the Big 12 title game, but the experience for all of them is about to get even greater because, again, it's not just about the recruits and the commits and the parents and the proximity and the location and being right there in the heart of recruiting in the Big 12 country and now to some degree the SEC country since we just played Texas. Now we get to play Texas A&M. This is our little SEC shot at redemption here. And the young cats are going to play. No, unfortunately, Leon cannot. Bowman. So Bowman, like I said, I think he's going to get his 7th year. But I think everybody is happy with what Alan Bowman was able to provide for Oklahoma State this season. I think Mike Gundy was happy with the leadership that he was able to kind of to help out with as well. But I haven't heard one person, and this is no disrespect to Alan Bowman, but I haven't heard anybody in the fan base that is clamoring for a 7th year from Alan Bowman. I think most everybody's like, yeah, it was cool. It was a good ride. But if we're returning 80% of this roster, then do we really need a guy who's going to backpedal, scramble, and set the next record for the most completions in the student section in Oklahoma State history? Because, guys, I don't know that record will ever be broken. I legitimately think that Alan Bowman will go down as the greatest completion percentage to the student section in Oklahoma State history. So, yeah, he's out here, breaking records. He did help guide us through a phenomenal stretch in the season. But it's time. It's time. Yeah. And I highly doubt that Alan Bowman would purposely come back to be a backup. But at the same time, Mike Gundy doesn't really like quarterback battles. And we just saw beginning of this season, no matter who you thought should have been the most viable candidate to be that guy, at the end of the day, it was a lesson learned. We likely will never do that to that level, rotation of madness. I mean, it's another reason, I have a lot of transfers. Who on this roster can say they didn't get snaps? I mean, not many. You got to look into the 3 deep. For the first 4 games, we were the only likely Power 5 team in America that was rotating the 3rd string team all the way across the board. So, yeah, I think Mike Gundy learned, okay, like maybe that's a bit too much, right? You got to find some common ground. But again, you cannot go at the end of the season and say, I'm going to transfer because I never got a shot, because that's not true. Every single player on that field got opportunities. For the most part, they all got several opportunities. So it's just learning to balance the new age NIL stuff. Unfortunately, Leon, again, yeah. The NCAA, even though George Fox was not doing football, no football because of COVID, weren't doing it, right? He's an athlete that was a baseball first guy. He's on campus. There's 0 football, which is what he's there for, right? And he was like, well, why don't I just help my university and go play a little bit of baseball? And the NCAA is like, it's the same thing, even though, it's supposed to be during football time. We're going to hold it against you. Sorry, buddy. We're going to count your year of you helping George Fox as a year of your collegiate sports time playing football. So you're done skis. Yeah, if that's a good one. That's a good one, Antonio. All right, yeah. So if Alan Bowman returns, we will lose a QB. Point blank period. Now, here's one of the things that I do think is worth everybody waiting for is the fact that even the guys in the locker room that will have an effect if Bowman returns, they absolutely adore Tim Rattay. So if Tim Rattay's here, we do have a chance at keeping everybody. But, guys, we're not going to have a competition if Bowman comes back. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So if Bowman does come back, he will be the shoe-in, 100%, no doubt, starter day one. It doesn't matter if Zane Flores or Milwaukee Smith throw for 73,000 yards in the spring. We all know it. It'll be Bowman's job. So if you're a backup and you're looking at how great we're going to be next season with everybody we have returning, you're going to want to be a part of that. And if you love Coach Tim Rattay, you're going to want to kind of see how things shake out a bit. But you also know that it is what it is. And it's going to be Bowman's job. So it would make sense. It would be logical that we'd likely lose one of our young QBs. Yes. Okay. See, thank you. I'm glad we got there too. See, whenever you do look at all of the calm before the typical storm, it's because the conversations are going really well, right? It's because a lot of people are very well aware that even if it's subconsciously, okay, Texas is SEC ready. Texas is, I really think that they will have a very good shot at winning the national title. The Texas that played Tech, the Texas that played us, the fully healthy, operational on all fronts Texas, that team's better than Bama. That team's unfortunately significantly better than, a third string level Florida State, even though I do feel like they got screwed, but it's okay. To some degree, they kind of got it right because you do have to take that in consideration. But Florida State needs to remember to take into consideration if they were in the Big 12 and they were 13-0, they'd be dancing. They'd be dancing on that hardwood CFP Final Four floor. They just would be. So trim the fat, get out of the ACC. That's the only option for Florida State. I mean, not just financially. Florida State does have cause for concern when it comes to that. But whenever you look at the transfers, since we're not losing a bunch of dudes, we're going to lose some. It puts us in a better spot than last year. And last year, we actually did really good on the transfers we were able to bring in. The transfers we brought in, for the most part, they all plugged holes almost immediately. And then we get the benefit of a large portion of these guys coming back. So even though we won't have a significantly big number to offer, I think that definitely makes it better. It makes us a destination now. And we don't have to reach. Clearly, last year we did a very, very good job in the evaluation and a very good job at highlighting guys that were going to be able to fit very well because most all of them did. Well, Y-Zone, I don't know what to tell you, man, but this is coming directly from, it just is what it is. But yeah, no, that's coming straight from the family and his George Fox coaches. Any news on no. No, not really. But again, we're going to be more selective than last year. And we have a little bit more to pitch as far as the sales job is concerned. Because look what we just did. Look at all the guys we have coming back. We should be back in Arlington next year, no questions asked. So we don't need to get 22, 25, 26 guys. We might only end up needing like 10, 12. So the 10 to 12 that we get, it's not just like, well, hey, yeah, you know what? Come to Oklahoma State, we'll make you better. Now we can be like, well, hold on. Why do you think you can come here and start immediately? Because we have depth, we have youth, we have speed. We need some more, obviously, but I love the fact that we can be more selective. And because of the selection, we can absolutely become more of a destination. And we always have been. People tend to forget. You go back to Tyler Batman days, and even the guy right before Tyler Patman, who was also a defensive back. We were kind of in on the transfer portal era before it was a thing. So it's just like, an old dog learning a little bit of a new trick to some degree, but we're going to be fine because of what we can offer now. Okay. What you want me to tell you that? Oh crap! Look what you done did. Look what you done did. Y-Zone. Yeah, you did that. You did that. Well, I will make sure to tell the people in his camp and his coaches that they are liars and they are wrong. Is there anything else I should disclose? I will. I don't know, man. I don't know what you want me to do here. All right. So yeah, with the last little bit of time, feel free, get in here, have some fun, fire away. Y-Zone, if you got more, you're good. But yeah, to kind of start putting a nice little bow on this until you guys have more questions and whatnot, is the experience in that stadium was awesome. Traditionally, I've had this debate with several people. I don't like club level, right? I like to be in the crap. But I will admit, now I kind of see some areas that it's kind of cool. One of those areas is when you're getting your tail kicked in a decent amount. Because then you get to kind of get to meander inside and have some fun and enjoy the amenities and talk to some people. Will Flores sniff the bowl game? You know what? That's actually a really good question. I think that'll kind of be based on Alan Bowman's decision. Okay, this is fair. I think that if Flores does get a decent amount of play in the bowl game, it could be somewhat telling to what the potential future could possibly look like. But I think we should have packages for him. But at the same time, we should have packages for Gunnar Gundy. We had red zone packages for Gunnar Gundy, and we saw Gunnar Gundy use his legs very effectively. So I think we could all agree there was times in the season that it was kind of odd watching Alan Bowman try to run it in from the 12-yard line, but he did a couple times. All right, give credit's due. But it would have been a lot more beneficial if we could have had maybe some more of the Gunner packages. So with the bowl game coming in, that's a package that Zane Flores could easily slide into. But if that's a package that should already be relegated to Gunnar Gundy, then yeah, I think it would be smart. It would be smart because of, again, this is an implication style of game. Texas A&M still covers or carries some weight with some of the youth. Now, again, is it because of money? Sure. But it is still known as one of those big-time premier places. Just like Kendall Daniels, he left A&M, all the glitz, all the glamour, all the money, really quickly early on because he knew, well, everything I want, I can accomplish in Stillwater. So for any of those recruits and commits and future players, parents, whatever, that are in fact at this game, I mean, it drops that little bit of a seed. And if you see out on the recruiting trail, you give Coach Brian Nardo a seed, we're all right. If you give high school coaches in the state of Texas some reassurances that their kids will always have the ability to not only compete for titles, but to continue to get better as student athletes and young men while simultaneously doing the body by glass system that will get you NFL ready. That's what it's all about. Why do all the big dudes that run fast go to the SEC? Because perception is that if you do that, you automatically have a quicker, trip to the NFL. But as we saw with Texas for years, that's not always the case. But when you do put it all together, that's what it looks like. So what do you guys think? Let me know down, obviously, in the comment section. Do y'all think CFP got it right? And more importantly, who's ready for Florida State to be in the Big 12? I'll tell you one thing. After NC State kind of screwing the 8-school pooch type of thing, I don't really want NC State because they've already shown their colors. They will vote against the best interest of your conference at some point in time if they're pushed to do so. So, give me Pitt, give me Louisville, of course, give me Florida State. I'd love, obviously, some Miami action, but why not become the first Super League? Why not beat them to it? Brett Yormark is the visionary that's going to continue to have the Big 12 climbing. Speaking of Brett Yormark, yeah, I love the Super Bowl halftime thing. I love the fact that we're the only one doing it. Now, these other conferences are going to steal the idea too because it was really cool. But let's get somebody better because Nelly was no good. I mean, I didn't really care, right? From nostalgic purposes, I was like, oh, kind of cool. But I'm glad I didn't care. And I'm glad I got to roll around and have the absolute time of my life because that was not very interesting, not very captivating. I would imagine that young people that really don't know a lot about Nelly probably listened to about 13 seconds of that halftime show and said, this is terrible. Mom, Dad, why did you like this guy? Okay, we can do better, Brett Yormark. We can do better than an old Nelly who's just screaming at everybody. I'm just saying, all right? But continue to do what you're doing, Brett Yormark, because the ACC disrespect is a selling point for you now. Right? It's about stability. It's about the future. And even if it ever gets to this, crazy super mega conference stuff, even if it does, I'd rather be part of the, you know what, you guys are good. Big 10, SEC, Big 12. By the way the voting just shook out, your wins in the ACC, Florida State, they don't mean nothing. Your wins in the ACC mean about as much as Alabama going and beating Chattanooga or the Citadel or the School of Deaf, Dumb, Blind, Mute, and Valdosta. That's what the ACC schedule is like, according to the people that matter. Yeah, it's about one of these times where I think Brett Yormark could be the visionary once again. And if he could put forth a package right here, right now, that is appealing to Florida State, I think that would be good. I think it would be obviously good for the Big 12. And I think if anybody can do it and put the Big 12 in a crazy benefit, I can't speak because words are hard, a very beneficial situation, then, yeah, it's Brett Yormark, right? In Brett Yormark, we trust. And you know what? We owe Brett Yormark one because Oklahoma State and Texas Tech didn't help our fearless leader out all that much. But we take care of business against the Texas A&M Aggies. Oh, nah. Unfortunately, It appears as though that ship has sailed. I mean, we were maybe 30% possible of getting Kobe before the Big 12 title game. But again, if we would have completely demolished Texas in front of 85,000 people, and then Kobe could have got to have that experience in our locker room afterwards, that could have easily at least made him, reconsider kind of percentage-wise where we were. But Texas is who we thought they were. Texas is who they've been selling Kobe Black they are. So they've been selling Kobe Black on, come here, let's go to the SEC. We're SEC ready. We're ready to compete for a national title right here, right now. And all year he was like, yeah, okay. All right, I like it. I like it. I like it. And then Nardo kind of gets more involved. And then his trips to Stillwater, he kind of sees that this locker room is a little bit different. The re-engagement is legitimate. It is real. The brotherhood in this locker room, in these facilities, it is real. But he wants to go play for national titles and be a first-round guy. So he feels like he can accomplish that at Texas. And who are we at this point in time to say, hey, Kobe, you can't do it? Now, of course, it would be huge if we could get him. But I would like to see Corey come back another year. Corey Black to come back another year. I really like DJ McKinney. I really like Cam Smith. But having that veteran leadership isn't going to hurt. And because of the guys behind him, talent-wise, it's not like we're going to have, a big drop-off when it comes to the learning process. Yeah, I talked about the other day. I'm a Washington fan. That's who I'm going for to win it all. But I actually do think Texas is going to win it all. I think Texas is better than Bama. I think Texas is definitely better than Michigan. I mean, Michigan's not going to be able to sign gate the offensive production and innovative stuff that Steve Sarkisian does. Even if they did, even if Michigan came in with Texas's game plan, I actually do think Steve Sarkisian could just grab dry erase board and be like, all right, cool. Hold my beer. Check this out. Not a big deal. Like, Steve Sarkisian might be the draw it up in the sandlot guy. So, yeah, I think they would hammer Michigan. I do think they would beat Alabama again. So, realistically, the best test might be Washington. But, as we just saw, Texas is for real. That defensive line, they didn't dominate our O-line, but they did exactly what they wanted to do, which was get a hat on a hat and make it 11 versus 11. Because they felt like they had the advantages. If they could just get one mismatch here or there, that they had the speed, size, strength to take advantage of it. And they were right. So when you look at the landscape of college football this year, right, there was no point in time in the season that Bama didn't have a crap ton of battles, right? Georgia even had some tough tests this year. There wasn't a juggernaut team. And Texas is by no means a juggernaut, especially without Jonathan Brooks, but they are one of the four best. And Florida State had their first-string quarterback. They probably are in. But the point remains, if Florida State was in the Big 12, they'd be in even with their third-string quarterback. So, yeah. Pray your Mark. You do your thing, man. And we'll continue to have your back. All righty, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one. I'm going to do another live show, I think a little bit later on this week. I don't know why. Just because they're kind of fun. They're kind of fun to do them. All right. You know I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. And I will see you all tomorrow. Later, taters.